This week on the podcast, we're talking about second opinions, particularly why they can feel like it's a betrayal, why it really isn't, and what you can do about it. So, before I dive in, of course, this is not to be taken as medical advice. All medical questions you should take to your licensed healthcare provider. This is, however, about educating, informing, and most importantly, empowering you to take back control of your healthcare journey. So, brief recap in case you missed the episode. Second opinions are not betrayal, they are protection. Doctors are fallible humans too. You only get one body, protect it. Not all decisions can be reversed. Conflicting medical advice doesn't always mean conflict. Sometimes it's just different providers looking through different lenses and nobody zooming out to the whole picture. When you are seeking a second opinion, get very clear on your why. It should be used when there is an unclear next step. I do not recommend pursuing second opinions when everybody around you is saying the same thing and you're simply hoping for something different. Know the real barriers to getting a second opinion. Most people think that it is simply finding somebody or the financial or transportation barriers, but often it's really more of a mental barrier of not wanting to offend your doctor. But the truth is, a good doctor welcomes a second opinion. Prepare for that second opinion appointment and don't act like you're doing something wrong. That can send off red flags to your provider and create a cascade that you do not want. Reframe conflict. You are not choosing sides. You are building understanding and find providers whose philosophies and values match yours. Okay, so now, if you missed the episode, you're at least kind of up to speed. Do recommend you go back and listen to the full 20 minutes though. So I want to go into some deeper topics here on the Unstuck Hour. And my first one that I have for you is courage over compliance. So, oftentimes, compliance with what our medical providers are saying is has been conditioned into us. It is what is expected of us, and it's often interpreted as being respectful. The other side of that is that anything other than compliance can be misinterpreted as disrespectful, and that's simply not true. As my brief recap just covered, it's not about disrespect. It's about protecting oneself, especially when we're talking about surgeries or something along those lines. There's potentially lifelong implications of those kinds of decisions. They're not to be made lightly, even if something is presented as routine or done 1,000 times. That doesn't mean that it's risk-free. And it takes courage to pursue a second opinion. And you really need to have support around you. When you are going through a second opinion process, please don't do it alone. Always have at least a friend or a family member with you if you are interested in having a professional along your side. Let's talk because that is the type of thing that we do here at Heard for Life. My second takeaway that I want to dive into with you tonight is that clarity usually isn't magically found. A lot of times, that second opinion that we pursue, it doesn't leave you. It doesn't always leave you with the sense of profound clarity that you may be expecting. However, if we kind of reframe our expectations, honestly, clarity isn't something that we are necessarily seeking out. It's really more of something that gets built with the providers that you have by understanding the lenses and the scope that they are looking through. What do I mean by that? Um, in the episode, I shared a really great parable that actually helps to explain what goes on between conflicting opinions a lot in medicine. And there's this story of three blind men all standing in front of an elephant. And one is at the head of the elephant, one is at the rear, and one is in front of a leg. And all of them are describing what's in front of them, and they start arguing because they've been told that they're all in front of the same object. But clearly, those three areas of an elephant we know are very, very different. This is honestly at the heart of most conflicting or confusing opinions in medicine is that specialists are really good at, looking and zooming way in on their specialty and focusing all of their attention there. But you are not a specialist. You are not one organ system. And so it gets confusing when you have these different viewpoints and not the context of how they make sense together. Um, this is where asking really thorough questions of your care team so you can get to a level of understanding of their perspective is incredibly important. The third thing that I want to talk about, I already talked about how it takes courage to seek second opinions. Um, it's really uncomfortable especially the first time you do it. But the good news is that becoming an empowered patient is a muscle. And, I tell my son this all the time. How do hard things get easier? It's through doing them. And so the first time that you're navigating a second opinion process, hopefully will be the hardest time. Standing up for yourself, empowering yourself in a non-confrontational way is a true skill set. And it's something that, like building muscle, it does get easier and more natural over time, I should say. Not necessarily easier, but it becomes more second nature. This week, I have an action item for you. If you're somebody who you know in your heart that you need to navigate a second opinion, I want you to sit down tonight or tomorrow, make some time, pull out all of your medical notes, your referrals, your recent test results, and circle the area that you still feel confused or uneasy. And I want you to commit to just seeking one new lens on that, whether that's another provider, another specialist, even just a consultation. You're not questioning the authority, but you are building authority over your own care. And when you're seeking out who that person is going to be, um, I suggest you seek a different lens. For instance, if you have a provider who is recommending surgery, find another similar provider who has a reputation for a more conservative approach so that you can get a slightly different angle on the same problem.